So what we've literally done, Bill, is unwittingly built an economy which is dependent upon our ability to evolve a new species of asocial, asexual males.
I want to jump over to Real Time with Bill Maher. On Friday night, he had Professor Scott Galloway from NYU, who I've had on the show, and actually I'm interviewing a little bit later today. It'll be up in a couple days. And here he is talking about a bit of the crisis that young men are going through right now.
I mean, just for example, the number of men, I didn't realize this till I read the book, the percentage who live at home still, live with their parents. What are those numbers?
It's about 30% of men under the age of 25, 1 in 3 are still at home. 1 in 5 are still at home by the age of 30. So, yeah.
Is that economic or emotional or both?
Yes, it's one. Men aren't. I mean, effectively, what you have is they're up against this indomitable enemy, and that is 20% or 40% of the S&P is now 10 companies whose primary mission is to get you as glued to a screen for as long as possible. Any minute they can keep you on a screen longer is billions of dollars. And a young man's brain, which prefrontal cortex is less mature, is more susceptible to that need for dopa. So what we've literally done, Bill, is unwittingly built an economy which is dependent upon our ability to evolve a new species of asocial, asexual males. And what you have is big tech, who is not our friend, is trying to sequester people, especially young men, from the most important thing in their life, and that is relationships. So essentially...
Ooh, that line right there, that's the dystopian line, right? Asexual, what was it? Give me the full, I want to get the full line completely right. Can you back up that last 10 seconds?
I mean, just for example.
To evolve a new species of asocial, asexual males.
Asocial, asexual males. Man, this is so connected to so much of what I'm always talking about with the phone. So while there is a set of people, Michelle Obama said, she's an adult woman who wants you to think she's oppressed because of the way her hair comes out of her head. What we're really seeing with the data to prove it, and Scott, I have some political disagreements with the guy, but he is a seriously hardcore researcher who communicates this stuff really well. These numbers are crazy, that about 1/3 of young men under 25 still living at home. And then Bill's follow-up was quite good. Is that emotional or economic? And it's starting to become both, right? We've talked a lot in the last 2 weeks or so since the Zohran Mamdani, there I said his name right, that'll be the one time I do it this week. Since his victory, there is now a new focus on what Trump and the right can do for young people economically to get them out of the glaze of socialism, right? So there is an economic problem for sure, right? They're getting worse jobs. We're on the forefront of the AI and automation stuff. They know, or they at least feel, that their lives will not be as successful as their parents. That's a huge problem. So that's the economic problem, but then there's the emotional problem, which is that society has told them that they're horrible. This is also a generation that missed their high school prom because of COVID, missed college years, didn't have the formative years. They're growing up more neurotic and upset. They're also growing up in hyperpolarization. They're growing up in a time where there's very, very, very few adults in the room. Like, where are our thoughtful adults? We've had some over the years. I put Jordan Peterson at the top of that list, but where are the adults that are telling them what to do, how to do it right, how to live a good life, and all of those things? And then you wonder why they can't get out of their parents' basements, and they also can't date, and thus their whole life will start out a little bit later. Here's more from Scott on that.
The number one thing men are afraid of is girls.
Yeah.
It's not lightning, it's girls.
Yeah.
It's just, there's something about that rejection of going up to somebody, like you say, cold, and you just have to get through that. And I feel like we are further from that than ever. I mean, kids don't even want to answer the phone.
Yeah.
They find that a little too alarming, unless you text first.
40.
Really, because that's passive, because you answer, nobody sees you, they don't see your reaction, you don't have to come up with conversation.
100%. 45% of men 18 to 24 have never asked a woman out in person. 63% of men under the age of 30 are not even pursuing a relationship. And if you think about the most rewarding things in your life, I mean, the things that really matter, they are essentially relationships. And what do they all have in common? They're really damn hard. And unfortunately, big tech, the most deep-pocketed, godlike technology in the world, is trying to convince young men that they can have a reasonable facsimile of life online. Why go through the pecking order of trying to establish friendships when you got Reddit and Discord? Why put on a tie and navigate the corporate world when you can trade crypto or stocks on Robinhood or Coinbase? And why would you go through the effort, the expense, and the potential rejection and humiliation of establishing a romantic relationship when you have porn?
Does your immune system feel off ever since COVID? A recent study published in the Journal of Clinical Laboratory Analysis suggests you might not be in the clear even if you feel fine. Researchers analyzed blood samples from people who had recovered from COVID and found something concerning. Their platelets, which are crucial to healthy blood clotting, were still not functioning properly even months after recovery. Other studies have identified lingering spike proteins in bloodstream and organs, contributing to immune system dysfunction and even mitochondrial damage, whether from the virus itself or the mRNA vaccines. That's why Dr. Peter McCullough developed Ultimate Spike Detox, a doctor-formulated blend designed to help your body recover and rebuild. It includes nattokinase, which helps break down the spike protein, bromelain, which supports immune system function, and turmeric, which reduces inflammation and promotes cellular repair. Take back control of your health. Head over to twc.health/Rubin and use code Rubin to get 15% off plus free shipping. Again, that's twc.health/Rubin. Use code Rubin at checkout for 15% off. It's time to own your health. All right, so there's some seriously damaging stuff here. You know, it's worth noting that whether this is a grand conspiracy, I'm going to ask Scott this when I chat with him in like an hour from now, whether he feels it's a grand conspiracy that big tech did this, or is big tech just a reflection of what we are? Right? We can all say, oh, we want to go out there and have great relationships. We all want to follow the grand adventure of life. We want to do amazing things and everything else. But that actually what we do is the other stuff, right? So was it designed to break all of our brains, or are they just giving us exactly what, when left to our own devices, we end up choosing, which is that we will choose trading crypto or watching porn or whatever those things are that he just mentioned there? Will we always choose the easier one because it is much harder to actually meet a human being, to go and sit across from somebody and look at them and try to figure out who they are as they try to figure out who you are, and then to say, my God, I might go on the adventure of life with you. Like, that's tough. That's crazy. That's also the thing that humans have been doing for thousands of years, which we seem to be trading away right now. But I think it is interesting to note, is it a grand conspiracy against us, or is it just a reflection of actually how we behave? But regardless of what the answer to that is, there really is a problem. So I just want to show you one more from Scott on Real Time, talking about how this is now connected to anxiety and depression.
I believe slowly but surely we're going to start to see fewer and fewer young men out in the wild because they're going to decide to sequester. And if I could say anything to young men, it's that the anxiety and depression you will eventually feel in your basement sequestered from other mammals is far greater than the fear of anything that lays outside of that room for you. Get out of the basement, get off your phone.
All right, so that's really good too. So all of these guys, you can sort of think about this as like they're kind of self-medicating, right? So you're at home, you're post-college now, you should have got a job, you maybe have some trivial job, but you live with your parents, which at some point, you know, sometimes there's different reasons to rely on your parents a little bit more, lean on them a little bit more, move back home for a little bit. Life has a panoply of things that can happen, right? Like, so this is not like just a blanket judgment on everybody. But in essence, what he's saying is we now have a young generation that is in essence self-medicating. They are self-medicating by being online, having all of their perceived needs or their immediate needs taken care of, right? As opposed to doing all the things, going through all the challenges that life is about. And then, and I think you can connect this to something that's much bigger going on culturally and politically, what will happen? Because then he's saying, well, you will end up much, much worse, right? Like at the end when you're sequestered in your parents' basement, we'll do that for a couple of years. And then you will end up much worse than you are, right? And then if you sort of put that framework around what's been going on in America politically, even some of the fighting on the right with some of this Fuentes stuff, angry young men who want to burn it all down, you can start to see, I think, a more clear picture as to what we might be up against in the next couple of years.